Well, hey there, and welcome to my channel. I'm Crafty Kathy, and today I have for you 40 of my top fall Dollar Tree DIYs in this compilation video. Now, the DIYs may not be in order because it is a compilation video, but I guarantee you that all 40 of them are there. Now, before we start, don't forget to hit that little red subscribe button if you're not a part of our family yet, because we would love to have you. And also, if you do like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Now, enough of my blabbing and let's get into it. DIY number 1. I have 3 wooden boxes that came from the Dollar Tree and this beautiful chalk paint from Home Decor called Nantucket. I'm going to give my boxes one good all-over coat. When it comes to French farmhouse, this is one of the most popular colors.
And also, I've noticed the past few years for fall, it's becoming very popular. We're always going to have those traditional fall colors, but I've noticed the past few years the blues and the greens are becoming super popular. Now, I'm going to speed this up just a little bit because all I'm doing is painting. I have 3 of those small pumpkins that comes from the Dollar Tree, and they have the clips on them. It looks like I maybe just spray painted those last year, but like halfway spray painted them like really quick. So what I'm going to do is just give this a couple of coats of my white chalk paint. I take the little stems off and I stick them on a skewer because I find it a lot easier to paint them that way. I went out to my pile of barnwood and I grabbed this one plank, and I'm going to take the boxes and I'm going to lay the back part down flat and just set the little box right inside of the lid. Then I touch up underneath the boxes because I totally forgot to paint that part. I have this gorgeous old belt that I don't use anymore. We're going to put this on the boxes, and we're going to try out my new Monvict non-dripping glue gun. I hope it works well because I get so tired of my glue guns dripping all over the table. So I just glue the belt right in the middle, and I'm only going to cover 3 sides of these boxes. I just felt like these boxes needed something else, and when I looked at this old belt, the light bulb just went off. I was thinking with the dark color and the light color of that blue, it's going to be perfect with this project. And boy, was I right. Look how pretty that is with those 3 different shades of blue. I love playing around with like different shades of color and texture because it just brings this extra something to your project. One thing I forgot to do though was take into account the extra width that's going to add to those boxes when I put that belt around it. So some of those were kind of tough to get back into the box lid, and I just had to glue them together. I measured it out and left about 4 to 5 inches in between each of the boxes. And I have this pretty little acorn that came from the Dollar General last year for just $1. I took the little handles off of it, and I'm going to put it at the top. But the first thing that I wanted to do is distress it with Nantucket. I went all around the edges and all around the front. I have the handle part to 3 of those big 5-gallon paint stir sticks. We're going to have to stick 3 of these together in order to put that underneath that acorn, because it's concave and it's not going to stick down on the board. So I just glued these together with my hot glue gun, and then I'm going to glue them underneath the acorn.
I'm going to use my medium strength Sheer Bonder glue to make sure that I get a really good hold. Now, hot glue and metal are not friends, so I just needed something extra to make sure that we got a good permanent hold. I have a pool noodle here, and I use it in place of the floral foam because it's so much cheaper, and I like it better. I just cut it in half and then cut it in pieces, and I'm going to put about 2 pieces down in each box. I'm just going to cut up some of my florals. I have this boxwood pick from Walmart.
And then some of the other florals that I have do not have the name on them, like this one here, but it is the dahlia. I'm pretty sure it came from Dollar Tree last year. And look at these fall peonies they have. I think this color is just, oh my gosh. This color too is big in the French farmhouse right now, and I believe this color is going to be really big this fall. So all I did was just cut up the pieces, and I'm just putting piece by piece in the top box, the middle box, and the lower box.
When I was happy with the placement of my flowers, I put my little stems back on each of my pumpkins, and I put one in each box. I'm going to make 2 bows from some of my supplies that I got from burlapfabric.com. I have this gorgeous lace ribbon, but it's too thick, so I'm going to cut it up the middle, and then I'm going to use that thin burlap ribbon to make 2 small bows, and I'm going to do them in a figure 8 in that awareness bow figure. So I just pulled off that raffia that was on the top of my grateful acorn, and I'm going to place my little ribbons on the top. I felt like my bow still needed something, so I took a darker colored button and a lighter colored one, and I placed them right in the center of the bow. Then, in order to make it all cohesive and go together, I did the exact same thing with the buttons on the front of each of my little boxes. I think this gave it that extra little touch that it needed to send it over the top.
And then I took this beautiful pampas grass that is an orangey yellow color, and I stuck it right in the top of the grateful acorn. And guys, as always, the camera cannot do this justice.
I just think that this is beautiful, y'all.
The color of these flowers with that color of the blue is just wow, is all I can say. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, hit that little red subscribe button and that bell. What are you waiting for? We would love to have you be a part of our little family here on YouTube. And beside the bell, if you click the word all, it'll show you every time I upload. DIY number 2. I have one of those foam pumpkins that came from the Dollar Tree from last year, and I must have already painted it from a previous DIY. So we're going to use that, and we're going to take this beautiful fabric I got from Walmart, and it's very French farmhouse, and we are going to wrap this pumpkin in love, baby.
This is the simplest thing to do. You just take out the stem at the top, and all you're going to do is basically lay your fabric down, and you're going to bring it up to the top. And there's places where I had to fold the fabric to make it all go in correctly, and there's a few places where I had to use some hot glue. But all you do basically is fold it up at the top inside that little hole.
And I realized that that orange that I had was too much of a bright orange. I didn't want that, so I used a more muted tone of orange in the top up there, you can see. And I have one of these little wreaths that I had bought around Easter time, and I just wrapped some of those orange colored pit berries around it and put it on the bottom in the middle of the wheat. And this project's done, and I think it's beautiful. If I can find the green wheat and those orange flowers at the top on Amazon, I will link those for you guys in the box below. There was 12 of these beautiful little wreaths that came from Amazon, and I will link those down below. And I believe, now that I'm looking at these orange flowers, that they were eucalyptus leaves in this orange color. And I know I bought them off of Amazon last year.
Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly.
DIY number 4. I'm going to take some of those stickers that I got from Walmart, and they're actually called thickers. They're very thick, and I like to use them sometimes for my words. And I'm going to take my Nantucket color, and I'm going to go over the word grateful. I have a little wall plaque that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm also going to give it one coat of the color Nantucket. I'm really digging this color. I know for fall it's definitely going to be my main color. But when I colored my plaque, I realized that I had done my words in that color too, and they can't both be the same color. So I decided that my words would really pop if I did them in white, and I went back over them several times to get them colored. Sometimes I am so dingy I don't know where my head is. So I have this other plaque that I got from the Hobby Lobby for like $1.49, and I'm going to go over it with my antique wax that's Waverly. Then I'm going to dry it real good. So then I took the word grateful off of my plaque, and I'm going to do any touch-ups that I need to do. And there's a couple little spots where I did have to use my hot glue gun. With my hot glue gun, I put that second plaque around my word grateful. I've got a little bag of these beautiful little small leaves that I got off of Amazon last year. They're little wooden leaves and flowers. And I'm going to take 3 of those leaves, and I'm going to color them with the Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm going to just place them in different spots around my picture. I will link these below too. I took some raffia. Well, it's actually that child-size hula skirt from the Dollar Tree, but it's the same thing. And I wrapped it around my hands about 5 times, and then I squeeze it together in the middle and tie it to make a bow. Then I take my scissors and I cut all the little loops and I fray it out so it looks almost like a little messy bow. It's so cute, and I'm going to put this up in the corner with my hot glue gun. Then I take some of those pit berries that I got from the Dollar Tree last year, and I did the exact same thing. I wound it around my hand a few times and squeezed it in the middle, tied it, and I'm going to place that over that raffia so it is just a beautiful little bow. I think this is probably my favorite project of all of these, believe it or not. I just love the colors. I love the way it turned out. And look at that antique wax with that blue. Oh, it just takes my breath away. It's so beautiful. And with those orange pit berries, wow. And who of us doesn't need to be reminded every day to be grateful? So when I look at this sign every day, I'm going to remember, hey, I've got a lot to be grateful for. Speaking of grateful, thank you guys who sent me in prayer requests. And always remember, anytime that you want me to pray for you, you leave it in the comments or at my email, and I will be there for you. I will pray for you anytime you ask, guys. I love y'all. And we're going right into DIY number 5. We've got several different little pumpkins that we're going to color up here. One of my favorite things to do. So I have all of these already spray painted white, and I'm going to use celery by the brand Waverly. And this is another beautiful French farmhouse color, and I'm just going to go all over my pumpkin with my celery color. Then I make sure that it is absolutely dry before I move on. I ended up painting 2 green and 3 with my Nantucket color, and here comes the fun part. I've got some lace doilies that I got from the Dollar General, and I'm going to take one and cut it in half. And then I'm going to cut strips down each of these halves. Then I take a few of those strips and a lot of Mod Podge, and I'm going to place it on one of the blue pumpkins. So what I did was just put my Mod Podge down, and then I put the strips down, and then I put Mod Podge on top of it, and I had to use a lot of Mod Podge. In some spots, I literally had to saturate it, and I found it easier just to use my fingers to do this. There was a few spots that I did have to use some hot glue here and there. Then I got that beautiful fabric that I have and made little slits and cuts out of it. I took one of the long strips and went all the way around the pumpkin and just hot glued it down. And then I took another strip and went around the pumpkin with it. When I finished gluing those down, I did use Mod Podge to reinforce it. Then I'm going to take one of my trusty corks and use it for the top of the pumpkin. I also have a little ribbon spool that some of my baker's twine came off, and I cut it in half, and I'm going to use each one of those as a pumpkin stem also. I decided to use one of the little stems that came in the pumpkins for my little lace pumpkin. Then I take some of that leftover fabric strips that I have from that green pumpkin, and I'm just going to tie it to the top. Then I take another one of my corks and I'm going to cut it in half and use it for some more pumpkin stems. Aren't these just the cutest little pumpkins that you have ever laid your eyes on? My DIY white wax finally came in, and I found that you have to put just a very little bit on your brush, and you brush it on and basically just wipe it right back off. I'm going to slow it down so you can see with and without. The left side of the screen is with, and you can see without on the right. I also found that it's important to work in small areas, and I ended up coloring my green and my blue pumpkins with the white wax. I took a little piece of the green fern, and I'm going to just tie it along with the wrap on my little green pumpkin, and it looked beautiful. And can we just talk about this basket for a minute that I got from the thrift store? Look at this basket. I am so in love with it. I don't know why. It looks like it's got like a natural green, like, I don't know, it's just beautiful, y'all. It's so pretty. So what I did was I laid my two little doilies, one on each side of the basket, and then I'm going to place all my little pumpkins back in the basket. Oh yeah, I forgot. I did lay down some rose garland that I have. I'm going to try to remember to link all these flowers and stuff down in the description box below, but if I forget, just remind me.
Come to the water where you will find peace. Take a step into the river. Get down on your knees. Come to the mountain. Well, take it in the view. You will find that life is greater than you knew. When you go through the storm, I will hold you, keep you warm. When you stay in the night, I will shelter, I will fight, I will fight. Oh, you're broken and you're shattered at the point of no return. You pick up the pieces and you let the bridges burn. So come to the water.
Our last DIY, guys, number 6.
Take a step into
I have a little piece of balsa wood in the shape of a square, And I have another little piece of balsa wood that I didn't end up using. I have my celery by Waverly, and I have these two beautiful verses, be joyful in hope, faithful in prayer, and thankful, grateful, and blessed. They both came from those little Dollar Tree calendars. So I'm going to take my green color and I'm going to totally color this block. I noticed everybody has been making these pumpkins out of squares, pieces of wood. So I thought, you know what, I'll give my go at it. I cut the excess pieces off of the little calendar pieces, and then I'm just going to glue those one on each side of my little block with my glue stick. When I finished the first side, I flipped it over and did the exact same thing to the second side. Then I placed one of those little stems in the top of it that came off of the original pumpkins. Then I take some more of that raffia and I'm going to go around my hands a couple of times and tie it in the middle to make a little bow. And I'm going to do exactly like I did before, where I take my scissors and I cut all of the little loops out so it will be flippy and look like a little messy bow. Then I took some more of those little pip berries and I wound it around the end of my paintbrush so it would look like little curly leaves on a pumpkin. It is so adorable. I took one of those little wood leaves and painted it green, and we're going to place that right in the middle of the bow to top it off. I love this verse, be joyful in hope, faithful in prayer. And here's the other side with the grateful, thankful, grateful, blessed. By number 1, we're going to make a Dollar Tree lantern. I have 4 picture frames that came from the Dollar Tree. They are 5x7s, and this is a new style that they're carrying. I'm just going to open them up, take everything out, including the glass, and I'm also going to take out those little tabs, those little black tabs that hold the glass in. Then we're going to start by just putting them together side by side, and you just glue them together. Don't worry too much if you get some glue that's showing in the corners, because we're going to totally cover that up and it doesn't matter at all. And you do just have to hold on to them for just a few seconds to make sure that they're going to stick really well. I have a package of these wooden dowels that came from Walmart, and all I'm going to do is measure to see how tall it needs to go in that little area right there where I glued the frames together. Then I'm going to mark it and cut it down with my little miter shears. After I cut it, I stained it with the Waverly Antique Wax with just a baby wipe. And all I'm going to do is go down the seam, and then I'm just going to lay the stick right in the middle of the seam, and I'm going to do that all the way around. There's only 4 sticks that you have to put on here, and it's very simple, guys. This is such an easy DIY, and it turns out beautiful. I think this is just the second lantern that I've ever made on my channel, and I like this one a lot better because I put a little extra to this one. To make the bottom of the lantern, we're using these jumbo popsicle sticks that come from Walmart. All I'm going to do is lay them across the bottom. It took 6 of them, and then I mark them where I need to cut them. I cut them off with my miter shears, and then I'm simply just going to glue them to the bottom. And I used the first one that I actually cut to be a template for the rest of them. It was super easy. And I'm just gluing each one to the bottom here. Now I'm just going to glue the glass back in each one. I was trying to get my glue gun to fit exactly right to do this, so it was a little tedious whenever I started getting a couple of glasses in there. But you know, there's a little lip already made out for the glass, and all you do is just put a little bit of that hot glue and lay your glass on it and just give it a second so that it can stick. I should have done this before I glued these down, but you live and learn. I took my antique wax from Waverly and I just used a baby wipe and a paintbrush to get it on the bottom and then to wipe it off, and then I just let it thoroughly dry. I have a top to a candle that I had previously used, and then these two boxes that came from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to sand down this top box because it just needed it, and then I'm going to give it a few good coats of paint after I wipe it off. Then I just take my Waverly paint in truffle. I gave that biggest box 2 coats, and then the Bless Your Heart box, that white box, it also took 2 coats and a little bit of extra, so I guess you could say 2.5 coats. And then on the sides of the boxes, I purposely kind of was very wishy-washy with my painting and very haphazard because it was black at first and I wanted some of that to show through and look very rustic. The very top piece, which is the top to a candle, was already painted with the Antique Waverly wax, but I painted it with the truffle also. I have this random piece of hard plastic. I have no clue where it came from, but I was like, oh good, I can use this. So it was painted black, and I just kind of put a couple of little brown stripes with that truffle color just so it would look rustic also. And what I'm going to do is take 2 small pieces, about 4 inches of that jute wire, you know, the jute that has the little wiring through it. I made a circle, and then I'm going to put it inside that hard plastic and just glue it in. I had twisted it together just so it would look like one, you know, larger complete piece, and then I'm just going to glue that right on the very top of that candle topper. Then I'm going to take that smallest box and I'm going to glue it onto that larger box. Then I am going to measure, make sure that everything is correct. Then I put that candle topper on the very top, and that is the top of my lantern. I've got some of those wooden dowels that come from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take 4 of those and I'm going to paint them with the Antique Waverly wax. Then I just wipe off the excess with the baby wipe. They just so happen to be the exact size of that smaller box, and so I glued 1 to each side of that box to cover that little area that was kind of open. Then I burn off any little fuzzy flyaways that's on my jute wire. I decided to kick this lantern up a notch. I'm going to use this little candlestick that I got for $1.99 at the thrift store, and I'm going to place my lantern on top of it so it will be beautiful and a little bit different from the other lanterns that I've seen before. In order for it to have the best bond I can think of, I'm going to use my Star Bond products. I laid the lantern down on its side, and I'm going to use the medium hold in the Star Bond glue, and I'm going to use that spray accelerator because it freezes it hard and instantly it will stick. So I put it down in a couple of spots around the top of the candlestick, and where I did not put that glue, I put the hot glue. And then I'm just going to spray the accelerator on the bottom of the lantern and set the lantern up there. And it was stuck. And then I just made sure that I had the placement correct. I'm going to use my DIY brand white wax because I have this orange and gold toned pumpkin that I got from the Dollar Tree. And this is supposed to be a cottage style DIY. So I'm going to tone this pumpkin down a little bit by just wiping a tiny bit of my white wax on the pumpkin and then wiping it off with a baby wipe. The colors that are a part of the cottage style theme are very muted. They are oranges and blues, but they are very light and pale, and that's what I wanted to do with my pumpkin. Now, the blue pumpkin that I'm also going to use is from a previous DIY, and it already had the white wax on it. I'm going to adjust my camera and push it up just a little bit so you can see everything that I put inside my lantern, because this is where the magic happens. And I put down my blue pumpkin first because that orange pumpkin had a hole in the bottom, and it was perfect because I could stick that stem of the blue right into that orange, and it was just perfect. Then I'm going to use these very muted yellow toned leaves that are the maple leaves that come from the Dollar Tree. And I absolutely love this beigey orange colored dahlia bush, and I just used one flower off of it. And then I laid down one of those white burlap looking flowers. And then I have these orange flowers that came from Amazon, and I will link them below. And I just dropped a few of the leaves in there. I didn't want to put too much and make it very overwhelming. I added this adorable little owl figurine that I had from last year, but I ended up swapping it to another one later. I added a couple of the small little pine cones that come from the Dollar Tree. This is a tiny little pumpkin that came from my pine cone pack. And when I went to the beach, I found these magnolia stems that was dried out and this acorn looking thing. And I just added those in there too because I gathered some of those. I took some clear colored Christmas lights that I had because I wanted to be able to plug these in and unplug them. And I just took a tie wrap and I wrapped it around the center so that they would kind of stay together. And then I just stuck it to the very top. I glued that tie wrap to the top of the box. And then voila, I've got my lights. All I have to do is plug those in. I added another one of those maple flowers and one of those dahlia stems to the very top of my lantern. And it took this lantern from just a regular old Dollar Tree lantern to something very almost high-end, rustic, and modern. It's very beautiful, very cottage style. And by me putting it on that candlestick, it elevated it to something that looked like it came from Hobby Lobby or Kirkland's. You would never know that this was a Dollar Tree lantern. And I'm so super happy with this DIY. Take a look for yourself. Let me know what you think about it. Here it is with the lights off because that way I figured maybe you could see kind of a little bit what it looks like when it's lit up. I just think it's really pretty. And if you wanted to, you could put one of those battery operated lights in there, but I wanted one that I could plug in and unplug. So it's your prerogative if you like it better the other way. But I am so happy with this lamp. I hope you guys like it. Hey, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to hit that little red subscribe button. And see that little bell beside it? Click it. And a drop-down box will pop up and you can hit all and see all my videos when they come up on YouTube. Let's go into DIY number 2. We are going to make a beautiful wreath by using these simple florals. And look at this cute little truck that came from the Dollar Tree. It was in one of those little things that you stick in the ground outside. And then I'm just going to use these random little florals that come from mostly Dollar Tree. Some of them came from Amazon. And these beautiful white pumpkins, they were from Dollar Tree this year, which I absolutely love those. I'm simply going to take these green ferns that come from Walmart, and I'm just going to put a couple of those in the bottom, and I'm only putting those in for filler. After I added the greenery, I took one of those leaf garlands that came from the Dollar Tree, and I just simply wove it around and kind of wrapped it around my wreath. I didn't glue hardly anything to this wreath because I like to reuse my stuff. And if you use glue, you have to pull it off and it can damage it. So I just kind of wove it in and out where it needed to go. A lot of these flowers were twisted and turned around and all that stuff where they had been in a box for a whole year. So I had to just kind of straighten them out and play with them and get everything in position of where I wanted it. I added a few of those brown burlap leaves that came from the Dollar Tree. And those were very simple to put on. They had a wire connected to them, so all you had to do was wrap the wire around. Now, here I showed myself putting down 2 or 3 of these leaves, but in the end, I only used one. I cut the stem off of this beautiful bright orange eucalyptus stem that I got off of Amazon, and it is in my Amazon store. And I just used a couple of the sprigs. I put them on the sides and then one or two up toward the top, and it was just to give it a little bit of color, a little pop of color, and a little filler at the same time. I have a stem just called pumpkin filler, which is basically these small pumpkins with leaves, and I used 2 of those stems. And then I must have done this off camera, but I also added some of my favorite flowers from Dollar Tree this fall called bittersweet, and I added a cattail and a cotton stem. I stuck one of the small white pumpkins from the Dollar Tree on the very bottom. I had 2 black tie wraps that I'm going to secure together because I'm going to lay them down on the back of this truck. And I have 3 of the tumbling tower pieces that I had glued together to make like a little plaque. And I glued that on top of those tie wraps. Then I'm going to flip my wreath over and secure that together. That way my little truck will not move at all. Lastly, I took 2 of those little acorn pieces that I got from Florida, and I'm going to glue those in 2 random places, and that is it. That's my wreath, and it's beautiful. This was so simple to make. It was so beautiful, and I'm really proud of this one. Guys, we are moving so quick. Let's do DIY number 3. This is the very easiest of all of my DIYs. You just need a few items and you can make yourself a faux glass pumpkin from Dollar Tree. I used 1 pack of those clear shower curtain rings. There's 12 in a pack, and you need something that's going to go to the middle that you're going to stick your shower rings to. And I thought of a cork. I've seen other people do them with various things, but when I saw the cork laying there, I thought, that's going to be perfect. So I took my cork and I painted it with my Truffle Waverly chalk paint. Of 12 of these little shower curtain rings, and I used all 12 of them. Now you can use 8, and 8 would look great. It's not going to really matter, but I wanted to add the couple extra of them because I had them, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'll show you what it looks like with 8. Like here is 8 right here, and if you look, my pumpkin looks totally complete with just 8. But I had to go a little extra, so I added the other 4. I saw this in the Farmhouse DIY Facebook group that I'm a part of, and I thought it was an excellent idea. And then they took some paddle wire for the middle. I didn't have any paddle wire. I took this silver pipe cleaner because the silver wouldn't even show, and actually I thought that was a better idea than the paddle wire. You know, that's a good thing, is you can take something that you've seen and you can add your own creation to it and make it all your own, because I haven't seen anyone else use the cork either. So what I did was run it all the way through those rings, and then I tightened it up and then clipped off the excess. And pretty much there's your pumpkin. You can stop right there if you want to, but I didn't want to. I wanted to add a little bit of extra embellishments. I took some of the Waverly Moss chalk paint, and I'm going to paint 2 of these little wooden leaves that I got off of Amazon, and they are linked below in my Amazon store. And I just used my finger to make the shape of the rest of the stem of this pumpkin that I wanted. I just knew I was going to burn my finger off, so I thought the best thing to do would just be to take the twine and run it around a cork. And what I did was I would take the glue and put it on the jute twine and then wrap it around. So basically, I am gluing the jute twine to itself only to make the rest of a little bit of a stem because I didn't think the cork was enough. So I just made it to where it came to a point at the top, and then I used a paintbrush to push down the very end of the jute twine down inside that stem so it looked like a perfect little pumpkin stem when I finished. Then I burn off all the little fuzzy wuzzies from the stem, and I really used the fire on this for a while because when you do that, it creates a darker color on the jute twine, and I like that. So I used that to make it look like a really, really dark, darker brown pumpkin stem. Then I glued my 2 little leaves to the top of that jute so they look like they were standing up behind it. Then I took some of the pit berries that come from the Dollar Tree. I absolutely love these things, and I love using them like they're the little tendrils of a pumpkin. And I just wrapped them around my fingers to get the shape that I want, and I glued them behind the stem of the pumpkin. Look at this adorable little bow that I have from TotallyDazzled.com. I thought that would be really cute to embellish my pumpkin with this little bow. It was the perfect touch for my pumpkin. And I think my pumpkin is very different from the others I've seen, and I think it's adorable. So easy and too stinking cute. Look at this thing. Oh, I love it. I stuck in a piece of that little green wheat that I got from Amazon just for a little extra something something on the top. And we're going into our very last DIY. Number 4. All right, I've got one of these thankful and blessed pumpkins. It comes from the Dollar Tree, of course, and I'm just cutting off all the little embellishments on it. Sometimes you have a little bit of trouble with those leaves, and I did, but I popped it off finally. And I want you guys to see this gorgeous bandana that I got. I cannot believe that I found this thing at the Dollar Tree. And the colors are so beautiful. It's this blue and this like a salmon or a rose color. Oh, it's just gorgeous. And right away when I saw it, I immediately knew that I wanted to put it on a pumpkin. So the first thing that I did was just laid it out to see exactly how much I needed and where I wanted the colors at, because I specifically wanted the floral, the flowers around the bottom part of the pumpkin. But first I got to cover up the back of this thing because it was driving me crazy with all that glitter. So I've got this beautiful paper that I got from the Dollar Tree, and it looks like wood. It's a light color. The only place I've been able to find this is a little place in Atlanta, Georgia, one of the small Dollar Trees there. I promise you, Tennessee, for whatever reason, does not carry this paper at all. And so I just put down a little bit of my glue stick, well, a lot of my glue stick, all over my pumpkin. I was really purposely getting a lot of it around the edges so that my paper would just stick. And it did. It stuck beautifully. Then I just cut off the excess, and what little bit was left, I just used my little finger sander, which is the best thing in the world. It's linked in my Amazon store if you guys want one of these. You will never regret having one of these. It's one of my favorite crafting tools I have. And you just do it away from you, and it so easily gets that paper right off. I'm sorry that you can't see it that well, but when I lay it on the table and do it, it shakes the whole camera, and I didn't want you guys to get sick from watching the camera bobbing around. But see, all I do is just use it, and it's very easy to get that excess paper off there. So I decided that I was going to have to paint this pumpkin, because if I left it the wood color, it's going to show through, right? So I took this home decor brand that's called sheepskin, is the color, sheepskin. It's almost like a beige. So all I did was one quick coat, a very thin coat over my pumpkin. I meant to tell you guys that the other day my sister got a cancer scan, and it wasn't good news. And so for right now, she has decided to continue to go to Nashville every week for her treatment that she's doing. And she gets another scan in 8 weeks. If it's still not good, she's going to go back on the chemo. And I thank each and every one of you guys who've asked about her, who've prayed for her. And just know that I pray for every one of y'all that asked me to also. And we love y'all. I put a pretty good amount of Mod Podge down starting on the side. It wasn't like sopping wet or goopy, but this is a bandana. It's a little bit thicker, and you want to make sure that it sticks. And I like to use my little Mod Podge roller to get out if there's any wrinkles, but this did not have any wrinkles in it whatsoever when I finished. And if you are doing something with decoupage and you are getting wrinkles, just use some saran wrap. I'm usually too lazy to take my fat butt back inside the house and get some saran wrap from the kitchen. So sometimes I do get wrinkles and things, but a bandana is pretty easy to accomplish no wrinkles, you know. So this turned out very well. And then I put me a good layer of Mod Podge over the top when I was finished, and then let it dry completely before I went on to my next step. Alright, I've got 2 pumpkins here that I have used from a previous DIY, and we're just going to paint over them. I love to reuse my stuff if I'm not using it anymore, and I'm using, the first color that I used was Home Decor brand called Sunset Rose. And look how beautiful this color is, y'all. But after I painted it, I realized it's not the color of pink that I want. Like, it wasn't really bright enough. It wasn't that exact color of pink that was in that bandana like I wanted. So I went ahead and dried it, but then I swapped up my color. And the second color that I used was called Salmon. And I painted the other pumpkin, the small one here, with sheepskin, which is that Home Decor color. I'm so country, it's hard for me to say this, but it's salmon. S-A-L-M-O-N, like the fish. That's this color. And this is beautiful. It is the exact color that was in that bandana. And this is like my favorite colors, like that blush, rosy, peachy pink kind of color. My favorite color. So I absolutely loved these. Then what I did after I got these good and dry is I took that sheepskin color, and I'm going to make the little dimples or the little indentions in the pumpkin with the opposite colors. Here I'm doing the sheepskin in that salmon color, and I'm going to flip around on my pumpkin that is the sheepskin color, and use the salmon on it for the little dimples and to go all the way around the edges. This was a cute effect. You know, we're used to distressing with like antique wax and stuff like that, but I wanted to try something a little bit different. And yes, I used my finger. You know, I've told you guys a million times that sometimes a finger is just the best thing to get in there and get it, you know, done. And when I did use my finger and run it back and forth, it made the most beautiful, like textured color. It's hard to describe what I mean, but it was really pretty. I painted the stems with the Truffle by Waverly, although I don't know why I colored them because I just wrapped it with jute twine. I guess my thought process was just in case, you know, the jute twine didn't totally cover. So I just put a dab of glue on the back and I wound it around and around and then glued it again, then cut it off, and that was my little stem. I always make sure that I get any kind of little fuzzies or anything that's on the stems. Then I did the exact same thing with my pink pumpkin. Now that the Mod Podge is dry, I used scissors to get as close as I could to the pumpkin, and then I'm going to use my little finger sander to get the rest off. It worked like a charm. Then the same process, I wrap the stem with the jute twine and then I burn off all the little fuzzies. I've got this little box decor that came from Dollar Tree last year, and I don't remember what it had on the front of it, but it was around fall time when it came out. What I'm going to do, it's already gray, like the elephant color by Waverly, so I just very, sloppily went over it with the color sheepskin, like very wishy-washy. And my plan is to glue my pumpkin to this, but I want the part that's open to be sticking up in the back so I can stick flowers in it. So when I figure out the placement of my pumpkins for the front, I glue the biggest one, the salmon colored one, on, and I put it on the left side. Then kind of right in front of it is where I'm going to put the white one, the color sheepskin. And I'm going to put them kind of side by side. And then I have this beautiful wooden decor that came from Hobby Lobby, and it's $3.99, but you get it for 40% off, so it was basically about $2 is all you pay for this. It's good thick wood, it's beautiful, it says faith, hope, and love, and I just absolutely love that. My thought process was here to let some of that wood color show, so I used the color sheepskin to go over faith and kind of half of the word hope. Then on the word love, I'm going to use that salmon color and cover it. And I'm kind of doing it like distressing, That's kind of how I'm painting this, like I'm distressing it almost, so that wood color will show. So I do the word love and half of the color of hope in salmon. I kind of wanted it to be like an ombre effect where the word hope is almost like ombre. It's both colors. Then I'm going to glue that right on the front of my pumpkin. This is such an easy Dollar Tree DIY, and it is so stinking cute, y'all. It is adorable. All except for that little Hobby Lobby, wood piece. It's Dollar Tree. Look at these beautiful Dollar Tree flowers. They're called hop bush, and the color is just glorious. So I cut these apart. I'm going to put 3 of them in the back sticking out from the right side of the pumpkin. And then I'm going to put 2 sticking out from the other side of the pumpkin on the left side. I put down a couple of pieces of floral foam so I can have better control of where I'm putting my flowers. After I got all of my flowers on the way that I wanted them, I had a couple of little wood leaves that actually came on one of these pumpkins, and I took it off, and I'm just going to stick them right back on because they're already colored with the Waverly antique wax, and so I'm just going to stick them right back on. Why not reuse them, I took a little pine cone out of my pack and I put it by one of the pumpkins because why not? At this point, I couldn't stop. I was just going crazy. I was thinking of all different kinds of things to add to this. And I even added a white hydrangea bush just so it would mix in and look beautiful. And this was my favorite DIY. I think it is just awesome. I reused a little lace ribbon that came on one of the pumpkins that I ripped off at the first of the DIY, stuck it on the salmon, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to put a little jute twine ribbon on. So I wrapped some jute twine around my fingers 5 times. Just a very simple little jute twine bow where you tie it in the middle. And this thing was just beautiful. This is my favorite. I think this is just too stinking cute. I am loving these colors for fall. Let's jump into DIY number 1. I have 2 of the foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, and I am just going to take all of the little stems off of them. And be careful, because when you pull that tag off, sometimes you can, kind of mess them up a little bit. You don't want that. And this pumpkin has a little ridge on it. Do you see where I'm pointing right here? It probably doesn't bother anybody, but it kind of bothered me, so I figured instead of using just regular chalk paint, I'm going to take it up a notch, and I'm going to add a little baking soda to thicken up my chalk paint to try to cover up that ridge. I never measure my paint whenever I'm mixing it up with the baking soda. I think other people use a 1-to-1 ratio, but I just mix it up until I think it looks like it's the consistency that I want. I'm using the color called Sheepskin by Home Decor. I just mixed it up, and I'm going to paint both of my pumpkins with just one good thick coat. After I got both of them painted, I used my little craft dryer to paint them, but if you do use the baking soda, just be careful not to use that craft dryer too close to that pumpkin, because you will crack that paint. I'm just letting you know some of the mistakes that I've made in the past. That way, it can save you from having to redo your pumpkin when you crack your paint. I actually had to throw one of my pumpkins away because I saw other people use spray paint on these things, but I think I used it too close. And look at this pumpkin, guys. It looks like I burned it or something. It looked crazy. So anyways, I've got this beautiful napkin. Look at this beautiful farmhouse napkin we're going to use. Now, with the napkins, you have to open them up, and you've got 4 seams. This one actually had 3 plies, and you want to take your plies off because you only want that top ply. So I just simply cut off one of the seams because we only need one. Then I figured out my placement on my pumpkin. And I like to use water to separate the seams because that way it doesn't have such a straight edge, and it just looks more natural that way. I put my layer of Mod Podge down, and then I used a brush just to blend it in real good because I didn't want a goopy thick layer. And then I laid my napkin down, and I start from the middle, and I start to kind of push it and kind of let it fall where it wants to. If you don't force it, you will have little to no wrinkles. And the big secret is to use saran wrap. Now, the saran wrap is because you can actually touch it, and it will not pull that napkin back away on your fingers. After I got it down, I wet a paintbrush and went back around the edges so that they would look more natural and not be like a perfect square. I'm going to use a color called King's Gold by Apple Barrel, and I'm going to start off by just blending it all the way around the picture and just kind of blending in that yellow that's on the napkin to the yellow that I'm using. And then I just continued all the way around the pumpkin, and I just gave it one good coat. I'm going to use Apple Barrel Chocolate Bar to paint a cork, this brown color. And when I finish painting the cork, I'm going to use my craft dryer to dry it, and then I'm going to stick it in the top of the pumpkin for the stem. Then I took the red pit berries from the Dollar Tree, and I just wrapped them around a pin to make it look like the little curly tendrils of the pumpkin, and then I just wrapped it around the cork and cut it and then fixed it the way that I wanted it. I wasn't able to find raffia this year, so what I've been using is one of those child-sized hula skirts that was at the Dollar Tree in the summer, and then I took just a few strands of that off, and I just wrapped it around the cork as well. Then I take my white wax, which is DIY brand, And all you do is you just wipe a little bit of this on your pumpkin, and then you wipe it right back off, and it creates this gorgeous natural effect where it just kind of lightens it up, and it's really pretty. Of course, you don't have to do this step, but it just gives it another dimension and a lot of texture and layers. It's just really pretty. And to finish my pumpkin off, I chose these cute little white, they look like little white wildflowers. They just looked very farmhouse and country to me. And I just glued a couple of those to the top. And I have this beautiful, gorgeous farmhouse pumpkin. I thought this pumpkin was adorable, but I did not quite like the cork on the top. So I swapped it out for just one of those stick pieces that they had at the Dollar Tree. And I added some more raffia too because I felt like it was missing something. This is absolutely my favorite of all of my foam pumpkins now. Of course, because it has the chicken. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that little red button and that bell, and then click all. That way, YouTube will let you know every time I put on a video, and you'll be part of our little family. All right, this one is the easiest foam pumpkin. You don't even have to paint this guy. We're going to use a shirt to create a beautiful, shabby, chic, gorgeous pumpkin. The easiest spot to get the material that I needed was going to be in the sleeve, so I cut the shirt off at where the armpit would be, and then I realized that I needed to cut it off at the bottom too because this was a long sleeve shirt, and you really don't need that much material. So I opened it back up, and I'm going to make the hole in the top of my pumpkin. And basically, all you have to do is just tuck the shirt inside that hole, and there's going to be several places that you have to kind of manipulate, and there may be a few spots where you need to put just a dab of glue so that it will lay down correctly. And then after that, I just stuck a twig in the top. Then I took some of that black wire that comes from the Dollar Tree in the automotive section. It's not hard wire, but you can wrap it around your paintbrush and make the little tendrils. Then I just wrapped it around the cork of the pumpkin. When I wrapped it, the little curly cues came undone, so I just used my finger and the paintbrush to just kind of get it the way that I wanted it. And then I put a couple dabs of glue so that it would stay put. I had some of the lamb's ear that comes from Walmart, and I pulled off a couple of the leaves, and I'm just going to stick these to the top. And I'm going to add a couple of my small solo wood flowers. I have one that's already painted a pale yellow color, and I put it on. And then I have this blush pink by Apple Barrel. And what I do is just spray a little squirt of water on the flower and then put the paint right on it instead of dunking it and doing all that. And I find it so much easier. And I just glued my little solo wood flowers to the top, and I still felt like it needed something. So I added a beautiful jewel that came from my Totally Dazzled. And I'm going to leave that down below because a lot of people ask me where I get my Totally Dazzled at. And I absolutely love them, and I love to finish up a lot of my DIYs with them. It's easy and inexpensive and a beautiful result. We're moving fast to pumpkin number 3. When I was in Florida, I found that blue and white plaid tissue paper from the Dollar Tree that I had been looking for everywhere. So we're going to put this plaid color tissue paper on the top of that other white pumpkin that I painted at the first of the video. I felt the best way to get this tissue paper on my pumpkin was to cut it in about 1.5 inch strips. After I had them all cut down in the strips, then I took those strips and cut them in half. I put Mod Podge down on my pumpkin again, a thin layer, just like with the napkin, and then I laid down the gift paper just like I did the napkin. I kind of let it go as it wanted to, and I pushed in those ridges Then I use my little Mod Podge roller because that helps get out the wrinkles too. I went all the way around this pumpkin and got the whole thing covered. And then at the very end, there was a few places where I had to fill in with little squares. I didn't need the whole strip anymore. I only needed squares. And the places where I did have to patch it up, you couldn't even tell because it's plaid and it all goes together and it looked perfectly natural. I also found that sometimes instead of using that roller, it was very effective to use the end of my paintbrush and roll it with that because it fits perfectly in the little ridges of the pumpkin.
Trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And
When I got it covered and let it dry, I took those little jewel tone stickers, I think they're called, from the Dollar Tree. And you know they come off in a long strip. And I just went all the way around to each of those ridges and put them down inside each ridge. I really think this color goes very well with that dark blue. It's almost like an amber color.
sky's falling down. Even the sky's falling down. The sky's falling down.
I took some of the floral foam and I cut it and I stuffed 3 different pieces down in the middle part of my pumpkin because it's hollow. Then I took some of that Spanish moss and I put it all around the top of the pumpkin. And then after that, I took some of these beautiful blue peonies that I got from Dollar Tree and I cut them off of the stems. And I took some more of that hula skirt that I'm using and laid it down across the top. And I've got some ferns that come from Walmart and I cut them off of the stem and I just start sticking those in there one by one. And then I'm going to add some of those beautiful blue peonies. I just think that color is so pretty for fall this year. I must admit, I've never thought of navy blue as a fall color, but it is probably the most popular color this year, as a matter of fact, in home decor. So I just kind of made my little bouquet here, and it turned out so pretty. I had some more small flowers called bittersweet. They came from the Dollar Tree. I cut them off of their stems and I cut them kind of tall and I started sticking them toward the middle part because you always want your tallest stems in the middle. And it just turned out being a beautiful bouquet with that navy and the yellow and the red. It was just perfect. And then I have some cute little owl wood pieces that come from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to take the King's Gold again, which is that yellow color from Apple Barrel, and I'm going to paint one of them with that. Then I just took some of the antique wax by Waverly and I'm going to go all around my owl with that. I'm going to use my little short chippy brush. A lot of people have asked me about those brushes, and guys, they are totally out of stock on Amazon. I have it, you know, in my Amazon store, but they've been out of stock for a while. So I just go all DIY number 1. I got this amazing paper off of Amazon, and it has all different fall motifs in it, and it has a lot of the little red truck, and I love that. So what I'm going to do is cut off this second little picture here of the red truck.
Stop for traffic lights. And
Then I cut out this small section that just had the words on it. It said like crisp leaves, falling leaves. I'm not sure what all it said there. Then I take my Waverly chalk paint in the color Truffle, and I'm just going to give this little flower pot one good coat. Then I'm going to just lightly distress it with the color Mineral by Waverly. I want to put this whole strip around my flower pot, but it's not going to go perfect because the way it's shaped. So basically you just have to cut pieces of it off and put pieces of it around the flower pot. I like to use my Elmer's glue stick when I do this because you don't get any bubbling or any wrinkling when you use the glue stick. But I quickly found out this cardstock is so thick that I had to use some Mod Podge to get it to stick. And then I just kind of sealed it around the sides to make sure that it would be, you know, have a good seal. And then I just kind of very, very lightly went over the top of it. I'll link this down below for you guys in my Amazon storefront. I'm just amazed by it because it's such good quality, it's thick, and I like it so much better than Hobby Lobby's. Now when I use Mod Podge, I have a little Mod Podge roller that I use to get the wrinkles out, but I didn't have it, so I'm using my paintbrush to like roll over the front of it. Don't judge me, I have no idea where that thing went to. I put a small bead of hot glue on the words because they're going to go there on the top part of my little terracotta pot. I'm going to use my moss colored chalk paint by Waverly and some baking soda. I'm really bad about not measuring this. I just mix it up to the consistency that I like. Sometimes I like it a little bit thicker, sometimes I like it thinner. I did put a lot of baking soda in this because I wanted it to be very thick and almost have like a concrete look to my pumpkin. This is just one of those little white pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, and I gave it a really good thick coat on there. I just think it's really pretty with this moss color. Oh, it turned out beautiful. Then I took my DIY white wax and I'm going to go over this pumpkin, and it takes a very, very little. You work in small sections and you put a very little bit on and then you just wipe it off. And I think it makes a big difference. It's so pretty. It just lightens it up and gives it another texture. I really like this. Then I take some Spanish moss, and I'm going to put that down in my little pot, but so I don't have to use so much of it, I actually put the bag down in there. You can put anything to fill that in. And then I just put a little bit of the Spanish moss on the top, and I set my pumpkin down in there. And then I'm going to take that little raffia bow that came off of something else. I'm not sure what it came off of. And I'm going to glue that onto my pumpkin. And I always like to cut open the ends, the loops of the bow, and just kind of flip them out because I think that makes a cute little fun bow. It kind of looks like a messy bow. Then I take my baker's twine that I get from the Dollar Tree. I have brown and white and orange and white. I'm going to take my brown and white and go around my fingers about 5 times and just cut that off. I'm going to do the same thing with the orange and white about 5 times, cut it off. And then what I do is put those two together, pinch them in the middle, and make a little bow. And I'm just going to tie that in the middle. And then I'm going to cut those loops open just like I did with the raffia. And I'm going to glue both of those down. One of my favorite ways to finish my bows off is with buttons. So I found one big orange one that I liked, and I placed it in the center, and I couldn't really find another button that I thought looked good. So what I did was I picked out a small little brown leaf out of this pack that I have, and I'll link that below too. And I just thought that looked cute together, so I left it as is and glued it. Then I just finished it off with a couple of little leaves, about 2 on each side, and that's it. Now, if this is not just the cutest thing I have ever seen, then I don't know what is. I love this. It's so sweet. We're going to move right into DIY number 2. This one's more of a makeover. It's one of those little red trucks that I picked up at the Dollar General for $2. And I take my Folk Art Harvest Orange color, and I'm going to take my black chalkboard paint that I pick up from the Dollar General. I'm going to mix those around, and it's going to give me this beautiful dark orange color, and that's exactly what I want for my truck. Almost like a rust color. I just went slow and took my time, and I dried it in between coats, and I ended up giving it 2 full coats. Then I took my Waverly truffle color, and this is the color that I'm going to do the wooden bed in. And after I did that, I even went around the truck in a couple of spots, around the hubcaps and things like that, over the fenders to dirty it up a bit. Then I take my black chalkboard paint that I get from the Dollar General and went over the wheels. I also outlined the whole truck with this black. I went around the windows, I went around the fenders, I went in every little groove of the bed just to make it look more real, and it really livened it up. After everything dried, I got out my white and went over all of the white areas of the truck. In that pack of cardstock that I bought, it came with some stickers, and I took one that said I love autumn and put it on the door on one side, and then I put a little pumpkin on the other door. I got some little berry picks from the Dollar Tree that were orange and red, but we need them to be all orange because they're going to be pumpkins. I pulled that succulent out of the back of the truck, and then I stuck all those little balls, the little orange balls, into a cup with some orange paint and just a little spray of water. Shake them around and it coats them perfectly. And then I shake them around as I'm drying them with my little craft dryer, and they came out perfect. They were perfect little pumpkins. And these babies are going back in the truck because they are going to the pumpkin patch, guys. And look what a transformation this made on this little Dollar Tree truck.
It's so little and it's just so cute.
And this is the other side with a pumpkin on it. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that little red button and that bell. And that way, you'll be notified every time I upload a video, and you can watch me every time, which I would love. DIY number 3. This one is the easiest DIY of them all. I try to put in some super simple ones and some ones that are a little bit more difficult for every skill level. Basically, this is one of those little owls that comes from the Dollar Tree, and I have folk art color called King's Gold, and I gave it 2 coats. I made sure to let it dry in between the coats. Then I simply took a little bit of my DIY white wax, and I'm going to mix it in with my black chalkboard paint, and it gave me this really dark gray color, which I put all over the owl in small sections, and I just wiped it off. Now it did pull up the paint just a little bit, so I went real slow and was real careful, and that's all I did, guys. Sometimes when you buy things from the Dollar Tree or the dollar store and they look kind of, cheapy, all it takes is just some little something to bring out that beauty in it and make it look like it came from a higher end store. That's all I did to this one, and I'm very happy with the outcome. It made a big difference. Now this is going to be DIY number 4 and 5. I learned how to use my jigsaw for the first time. I wanted to cut out 2 pumpkins, and that's my big sexy self you see there. And I love my barn wood. What I did was I drew out the pumpkin pattern on the barn wood, and I am no artist, y'all. So, and this is the first time I did the pumpkins, but I am really pleased with the way they turned out. It was a simple circle. And one of them I want to have a 3D effect, so I put, the circle in the front of it. I'll show you in just a moment. I made one out of barn wood and then one out of some wood that we made our deck out of. I have to admit it wasn't as easy as it looks, and I just knew that those nails over there beside my pinky was about to go up in my hand and out the other side the whole time I was doing this. But by the grace of God, I made it through, and I came out with 3 little somewhat round shapes when I was done. No, that's not me singing. I would never do that when I'm alone in my craft room and smack my pumpkins. But anyways, I gave them a quick sanding and then figured out how I was going to lay them out. I mixed that harvest orange color and the milk chocolate color by Folk Art to get this dark orange color. To me, that just looks more like the natural color of a pumpkin, and I got both sides really well and all around the sides. And on the barnwood, it almost turned out looking like a stain more than anything because that barnwood really soaks up color and it just turned out so pretty. It was just very lightly colored. Then I took my DIY white wax and I did exactly like I did before. You just put a little bitty bit of it on and then you just wipe it back off with your rag. So I think the best type of stem for these is going to be a stick from the good old yard. They're free and they are very abundant. So I went and got one and I glued it to the top and then I glued that front piece on to make it look like a 3D pumpkin. I took a couple of my leaves from a Dollar Tree garland and I glued them to the top, and then I used my pit berries to make the little tendrils for the pumpkin. And what I did with those is take them and wound them around the first thing I saw, which was a paintbrush, and that gave me that rounded shape. So I went around and around to make the little tendril and I stuck it right on the top. I had a pack of a whole bunch of words that I got from the Hobby Lobby, and I picked one that said Gather, and I painted it with my Truffle Paint by Waverly, and I did kind of just a little wishy-washy paint job on it, just a real quick sloppy job actually. And then when it dried, I took my DIY wax paint and I went over it like I had before, just a little bit, and then I wiped it off. And I took that and I glued it to the very front of that pumpkin after I sanded it off. And I think it was the perfect ending to the perfect little pumpkin. And it was my first pumpkin ever made with my jigsaw. I think it turned out really cute. And let's get to DIY number 5, the other pumpkin. Now this one, if you remember, is already painted. So we just had to put the stem on the top. And I also put the leaves on the top. I made the tendrils out of the little pit berries just like I did the others. I wound it around the paintbrush a couple of times and it makes the perfect little curls. And I curled it around the top there. I added a small little bunch of berries that came off of one of my florals, and that's all I had to do with this one. That's number 5. Let me know which one is your favorite pumpkin. Do you like the barnwood or do you like the regular wood? I'm partial to the barnwood. Let's do number 6. We're actually going to make a small tiered tray. I got this candlestick from the Goodwill for $2.99, and there wasn't much needed to be done to it. It was already perfect color, so I just put a little antique wax on it, wiped it on and wiped it off. And then I'm going to take these 2 circles that I got from Walmart. They were 97 cents a piece. I'm going to take all the wrapping off of them. I'm going to do the same thing with the antique wax. We're going to wipe it on and we're going to wipe it off. What's a tiered tray video without a tiered tray? And I realized that my tiered tray has a big rooster attached to the top of it. If you guys remember in a DIY that I did back a few months ago where I did a tiered tray and I painted it and upcycled it, we put a rooster on the top of it. Well, it's not going to look right with pumpkins all around it, I don't think, but I'm going to show you what it looks like anyways. I had to come up with a backup tray so you guys could see what it actually looks like on a tray. I'm going to do the bead technique here where I take about 6 of my wooden beads and I put them in with the antique wax, mix it around, and then I'm going to dry it the same way, and it just takes a few seconds and it's perfect. You can only do about 5 or 6 of these beads at a time depending on the size because you don't want to put too many or it's not going to coat them correctly. So I just set them out, let them dry. And with these, I did put too much of the beads in there, so I had to go around and just kind of touch up some. When the candlestick dried, it turned out looking great, and I'm going to lay it down on my first wooden round, and I'm going to use the Fix-All from Dollar Tree, and it's like E6000 to me. You put it in a couple places, and then I'm going to put my hot glue in a couple places. You don't want those to mix, and so I put just a little bit for a permanent hold and a little bit of the hot glue for a temporary hold. And so what I'm going to do is just flip it around, put it right in the very center. Then I flipped it back around. I laid my beads out the way that I wanted them on my round. And I decided what I would use. What I came up with is my Star Bond glue. I'm using my medium strength. Now this is my favorite glue because you can get a absolute fast hold just right away. So the best way that I come up with to do this is to take the medium strength glue, and put it right on the bead, and then I sprayed that accelerator down onto the wood round, and then when you put them together, it is an immediate hold, boom, and done, and you're finished. It's that easy. I love my Star Bond glue. I'm going to link that below in case anybody wants that too. So then after that, I did the exact same thing to the top. I just put my glue all the way around the wood round itself and then sprayed my adhesive down on the beads this time and popped it right down on there. And watch this, my head. Okay, there we go. And it's an immediate hold. I love this glue. You have the hold of super glue, but right away, you don't have to wait. And then I just used my little bit of a sanding sponge, just a little bit. Not much at all, really, because it didn't need it. And I went around the rounds, the little beads itself, so I could get just a little bit of color out of there. And here is my tray, guys. I wanted to show you the whole tray, and this is what it looks like up close with the little beads. I think this is adorable, quick, and easy. DIY number 7. We're going to make one of those cute little marshmallows that goes on the tray. So I've got some of those foamed ice and some white balloons from the Dollar Tree. And everybody says that you put 2 balloons on there. You just stretch them out and pull it around your dice. It took me a minute to figure out how to do this. And I just cut the bottom of that balloon off. But I've seen other people cut the neck of it off before, which is probably smarter. Other people have put 2 balloons on there, but I felt like I needed 3 just to get a total coverage where you can't see anything but the little white marshmallow girl. This is so cute and so easy. I used a little tiny paintbrush, and I just have black paint, and you just make 2 little half moons, and that's her eyes, and then you just make little lines for the eyelashes. And then for the mouth, I just made another little half moon going the other way, just a little small. It doesn't have to be anything big. It's adorable anyway. And then I'm going to use pink, and it's called Cameo Pink. And I'm just going to make her 2 little cheeks there. And that's it, guys. That's her face. You're totally done with her face. These are so cute and so easy. What I decided to do is make a little ribbon for her head because I didn't want to put the chocolate on it. I wanted to do this instead. And I make the little figure 8 bow, press it down in the middle, and tie it. And I thought it would be cute to do a little bow with pumpkins on it. And it's brown and orange, so it goes with the whole theme of the tray. And I'm just going to stick that in the upper part, like the upper corner of the little marshmallow. And I did have to glue one little piece down because that way you could see her face really well. After that, I took one of my little wooden leaves out of my pack, and I'm going to paint that brown, stick it right in the middle of that bow, and she's done, guys. It's that simple and so cute.
Look at me! I'm a chubby little marshmallow and I'm so cute!
Oh, never mind me. I can't stop.
We are moving right along. We're going into DIY number 8. This one is very simple. I just took that little fish bowl that comes from the Dollar Tree, and I got the smallest one. There's 2 sizes. And what you do is you take the twine that comes from Walmart. You're going to place it right in the very center. Go directly around, and every time you go around, you're going to place your glue down and make sure you glue it in that same spot. Then you're going to go around again, and you're going to glue it again. And I glued it to the rope every time I went around, or the twine, I'm sorry. You're going to wrap it around 8 times because you want 8 little marks to make your pumpkin. So basically that's all you do is you keep going around and you keep putting your glue on every single time. It's important to put that glue down every time. Then you're going to flip your bowl upside down and you're going to put some glue right in the center after you get all of your jute twine exactly the way you want it. You can still play around with it and get it the way you want it there on the sides. And that glue is going to go right in the center. Then you flip it back around and you start a little circle with your jute twine. You're going to glue the twine onto itself. Every time you're going to go around, put a little bit of glue, and then wound it around, and it's going to go in on itself. And you just go up as high as you want your stem to go. You can have a tall stem, you can have a small stem. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. You're in control. And so mine is just kind of I guess it's a small stem. I like my pumpkins with not having big old long stems, you know. But you just go up as high as you want. Make sure you just put that glue on every time. It's very important. Then when you get it up as high as you want it, you're going to clip it off, and then you're going to stick that little extra piece down inside the stem of the pumpkin. And I did that with a paintbrush, the end of a paintbrush. I just kind of stuck it down in there. Then I took a lighter to burn all the little fuzzies off of here. Just be really careful when you're doing this, because I had the small fish bowl and the flame got a little close to my fingers, but it's okay because I'm used to doing this. I'm not afraid to do it. You don't have to do this step, but I think it makes it look better, and I like to burn the rope a little bit longer and make it brown. You know what I mean? And I've done this a million times, and I've never started a fire, so don't be afraid. Then I'm going to embellish it with another sprig of the leaves that came off of one of my florals. I just stuck it right on the top of my stem. And then I glued it down so that it would kind of lay down. I just put it on the jute twine. And then I'm going to put some more of those cute little berries up there. I think that makes it just adorable. It gives it a little extra something. Then we're going to make the little tendrils just like before. I'm going to wrap it around my paintbrush, and I wanted kind of a long tendril and for it to be really curly. And like I said, you're in control of it. However you want it to look is how you do it. And I just wrapped it around because I don't like gluing my tendril on there, because I can use it again later if I don't glue it. Then I'm going to take some lights. I bought these lights from the Dollar Tree. It's a little 20-pack, and they're the orange color. You can use orange, or you can use just the yellow lights. Both look beautiful. And you're going to stick them in the bottom of your pumpkin. Then I had to play around with them just a little bit to get them the way that I want. And then you just kind of hide your cord, and voila. This is the cutest thing on this tray, I think. It's so super easy to make, but it makes a big statement. These are just so cute at nighttime when you flip the lights off. All right, guys, we are moving so fast. We're going into DIY number 9. This one is another easy one. I have one of these little milk cans or milk jugs that came from the Hobby Lobby, and I picked one of my stickers off of my pack, and it says pumpkin latte time. And I just think that's so cute. And then I take my Harvest Orange color by Apple Barrel, and I'm going to go around the rim, and I'm going to go around the little handles to the can, and then I'm just going to go around the bottom part of it. I'm just kind of outlining everything on this with the orange. I found that I had to go over the handles a couple times just to get them to show up the color, you know, the brightness that I wanted. But I thought this was so adorable, and it just added a little something to the tray. I stuck some berries and a little pumpkin pick in the top. All right, guys, number 10. I got this little wood cutting board in a pack off of Amazon. I'll link it down below. It had like 4 of these and 4 of the little tiny rolling pins. And I'm going to take my Waverly Antique Wax. I'm going to brush it on and wipe it right back off. I wanted this to be a little dark, so I kind of kept most of it on there. I just lightly wiped it off. After I dried that, I put glue all the way around the bottom, and I'm going to use my little ribbon with the pumpkin, and I'm going to go all the way around with this. Then I just clipped it off at the ends, and I have this cute little chicken, pig, and cow wooden thing that I got from Etsy. That's where I get all my little small wooden pieces. And I mixed up some of the harvest orange with my milk chocolate, and it made that really pretty orangey brown color. I painted both sides of this, and I'm just going to glue it to my cutting board. And then I took that same pumpkin ribbon, and I'm going to make one of those little bows. I think you call them a cause bow.
No, I'm sorry. They're called an awareness bow, like the cancer awareness bow.
And then you just tie it in the middle, clip it off, and it's going to go right in the center part of this. And that's all she wrote, guys. I just clipped the ends of it off, gave it some dovetails, and that was it. I think this is precious, and I love to have a little cutting board on my tiered trays. Number 11. This is another easy one that's going to make a big statement. I have one of those little square boxes that comes from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to pop out the back of it, and then I picked a piece of my cardstock that I like, and I traced it. Then I just simply cut that out. I'm going to use my glue stick and go all over the back of the piece of paper and just glue it down. Then I take the Waverly color moss, and I'm going to paint my little box. I made sure to paint it inside and outside, every little nook and cranny of this. Then I took my apple barrel milk chocolate color and ever so lightly distressed around the little box. And then I popped the back right back in. It was very easy. It popped right back into place. I didn't even have to glue it. I felt like I put too much, I distressed it a little bit too much, so I just went back over it with a little bit of the moss to kind of even it out. You can always correct if you do too much distressing by putting just the original color back on a little bit. Then I picked one of the prettiest pictures off of my stickers that said, "Leaves are falling, autumn is calling," and it has a picture of a church on it and some trees. It's so pretty. Then I'm going to take 4 of my little wooden leaves, and I'm going to place them where I want them around this box in the front. I took one of my leaves and painted it the orange-brown color. One of them is milk chocolate. One of them is the King's Gold. Then one of them is the Harvest Orange. I didn't like that I ended up having 2 orangey colors on there. I wanted a pretty red color, so I took my Waverly color called Lacquer, it's a red color, and mixed it with black to get this dark maroon color, which is beautiful for fall. And I just painted one of my leaves with that. And then I'm going to glue each of these leaves around my box. I have 2 tiny little beads that I painted orange, and I'm just going to stick those through some jute twine because this little box has a hole in the top of it where you can hang it up, and I'm simply going to run my jute twine through that and tie a knot in the top. That way I can hang it if I want to. Then I just burned off all the little fuzzies, and that's all I did, and I think this turned out adorable. We're already going into DIY number 12, y'all. This is the tiny little rolling pin that came with my cutting board in that little pack of wooden stuff that I bought off of Amazon. And I'm going to use my milk chocolate, and I'm going to paint the middle part with my milk chocolate. Is it just me, or every time that I paint with the apple barrel milk chocolate, I get hungry? So I'm going to paint that in the middle there. Then for the sides, I use the orange-brown color where I mix up the harvest orange with the milk chocolate. I just think that color is so pretty for fall. It's not too bright. It's just, you know, kind of toned down, and I like that. Then I simply chose a little sticker that says "Falling for You" and a leaf. And that's all I did on this one, guys, and it turned out cute as a button. I'm going to show you guys a couple of clips of everything all together, and then I'm going to show you just a few little clips of the girls. I know that y'all enjoy watching them showing out and trying to act like big stuff. And I'm singing to them, so just ignore me. That's my norm. Hey, they think I'm a rock star. I hope you guys found some good inspiration today and that there was a couple of these DIYs that you might like to try and maybe to give you some ideas of some things. I tried to put some things in there that I haven't seen on trays before, and then of course a few of those are ones that seem to be on every single tray that you see. I'm really into the little rolling pins, and you can't have a fall tiered tray without a pumpkin, am I right?
DIY number 1, we're going to make a beautiful sign out of a plastic placemat and a piece of foam core board. So I take my foam core board and I cut it out the shape that I need it. I want it to hang over just a little bit from the placemat. I've got some 5-gallon stir sticks that I picked up at Lowe's, and it's only going to take 4 of these. I've already cut them down with my circular saw to the size that I wanted, so it will fit right over the top of this. All I'm going to do is take these and stain them with my Waverly's Antique Wax. I'm going to rub it on with my paintbrush and wipe it right back off with a baby wipe.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.
When I finish staining, I take my placemat and I'm going to hot glue it down just on the sides to the foam core board. I don't want to glue it all over the back because I don't want it to like melt or, you know, make a mess or it show or anything. So I just did it simply on the sides. Once I get the placemat glued down, I'm going to place my sticks in the order that I want them on here. I'm not going to cover the whole placemat. We're actually going to cut just a little bit of the sides of it off. Now, I'm going to start to glue everything on. This placemat came from Dollar Tree last year, but I just about bet it's going to come back again this year. So just keep your eyes peeled because it's really pretty. I used my finger sander to sand down a couple of little rough spots that I had forgotten to sand before I glued it. And then I'm going to just take my rotary cutter, which I absolutely love this thing. It's going to cut right through that foam core board. It's also going to cut through that placemat and give me the precise cut that I need. There was a couple of little spots that I had to shape up with the scissors, but it was no big deal. It cut off very easily, and voila, there we go. I've got 4 regular white thumbtacks because I think the white looked better, and I popped the little sharp edge off except for a tiny little bit, and it was just enough to stick right in there, and I think this gave it a little extra something. I've got a few of those little wooden leaves that I purchased at Amazon last year. I'm going to link those in the description box below in case you want some. They come in a pack of like 50. And I really have been using these for my fall DIYs. I think they're precious and they add just a little touch at the end. I've got King's Gold, which is that yellowy color I just showed. It's by Folk Art. I painted a couple of my leaves that yellow color and a couple of them that orange pumpkin-y color from Folk Art. And that's it, guys. That's all I had to do. Can you believe it? This project is finished and I put a little hanger on the back. This is beautiful and easy and came in at around $2, y'all. DIY number 2. Before I start the DIY, I just want y'all to see this beautiful paper and stickers that I purchased at Amazon the other day. It's called Fall Break, and I will link it below because I know a lot of y'all are going to want it. And this cardstock was like very thick, and look at the different colors and fabric. I think it was around $10 for the pack, maybe 12, but totally worth it. This was something I was very happy with, and this will be great for all my fall projects that I use cardstock for. I won't have to run to Hobby Lobby. I took one of those pumpkins, the ones from Dollar Tree that says thankful and blessed, and we're going to do the cardstock on both sides of this. And first of all, I just got that leaf off of the front because I can always use it for a later DIY. And when I picked the 2 pieces of paper that I wanted, I just put my glue stick all over the front, and we're going to place the piece of paper down on that and press. Then I flipped my paper over and I got my little finger X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to cut out around the pumpkin. And this thing is very nice. I like the way that it cuts, so it's going to cut that paper right off of there, and that's the back side done. Then when I finish with that side, I'm going to flip it over and do the exact same thing on this side. Look at this truck pattern, how beautiful this is, y'all. I just do my glue stick all over my pumpkin really, really good, and the paper sticks down on there. With this, you don't have to worry about any bubbles, any creases, or wrinkles, or anything like that. And I love using the glue stick method. I think it's so much easier. I cut around my pumpkin with my little X-Acto knife and just pull the paper right off of there. Then I use my little finger sander to get any little stray areas that may be, but honestly it was just 1 or 2 tiny little pieces. It wasn't much at all. And if you just sand it off like this, it goes off perfectly. There will be no rips or tears or anything like that. It's just a perfect edge. I take my Waverly Antique Wax. I painted the stems of both sides of the pumpkins. I'm going to go all around the sides of the pumpkins. Don't forget your sides. And then I'm going to take my little distressing brush and I'm going to distress all the way around the edges of both sides of my pumpkin. I have seen these all over Facebook. It's the little pumpkins that have 2 sides where you can flip it around and use either side. And I love the way these look. I take one of those little gather signs from Dollar Tree and I popped the front of it off, and I'm going to use my antique wax again to go all the way around the inside edges and all around the sides of my little gather tray. Then I wipe off the excess with a baby wipe, and I am going to paint the bottom part of the tray with Truffle by Waverly. Then I'm going to take the color Mineral by Waverly, and I'm going to use this to distress all the way around this little tray. And I just think that this color is beautiful when you distress it, that truffle color with the mineral. I think it's so pretty and it really stands out. And I just love the way it looks. And I'm also going to distress that word Gather really well.
Then I take that small crate that comes from the Dollar Tree that has the stars on the side of it, and I'm going to put my Waverly Antique Wax all over it with my paintbrush and then just wipe the excess off with a baby wipe. On one side, we are going to put this crate. On the other side, we are going to use that sign that came from the Gather as a small tray. I take the Waverly chalk paint in mineral, and we are going to distress this little crate with that. I also use mineral to distress the stems of my little pumpkins on both sides. I'm going to take my little tray that I got from the Gather sign, and I'm going to glue that to the very front of the plaid side of my pumpkin. Then I take that small wooden crate and I'm going to glue it to the opposite side where my red trucks are on that pumpkin. And I glue my Gather sign on the plaid side. On the plaid side of the pumpkin, I put down some Spanish moss in the bed, and I also laid down some little leaves from the Dollar Tree. And look at these adorable little apples I got off of Amazon. I'm going to link those below. Also, I staged it with one of my little milk crates or milk cartons. Milk jugs, that's the word I'm looking for. And I put a little bit of fall florals that I got from Amazon, and that's that side completed. On the little truck side, I put down some of the Spanish moss and a couple of little pumpkins and those little orbs that come from Dollar Tree and some more of the little fall leaves. And I think this is adorable. On one side, we have little pumpkins. On the other side, we have beautiful little apples. Nothing screams fall more to me than apples and pumpkins. And now we're going to make a messy bow. I took 4 of the different ribbons that came from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut them in about 4-inch sections, and I am going to cut them right down the middle because I don't want a big, thick, messy bow. I want it to be just a little bit thinner, so I just cut them in half. I also have some of the very thin 1-inch ribbon that comes from the Dollar Tree, about 3 different ones, and I cut that in about 4-inch sections also. And all you do is make an X, and then you're going to place one sideways and then another X and then place one sideways, and that's how you make your messy bow. Then I'm going to take my zip tie, go right around the middle and pull it very tightly, and then cut the excess of the little zip tie off in the back. And that's my messy bow. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side where I make an X and then I lay down straight across. And I just keep going until I run out of ribbon, guys. And then I'm going to take a piece of the red and white plaid, and I just kind of wrapped it around that zip tie, and I tied my zip tie, and that's going to be the other side. I'm going to have one messy bow on each side of the pumpkins. Then I just glued that on, and guys, this turned out so cute. You can flip it around and use it either way. I had forgotten too that off camera that I took my 2 buttons right there in the center of my bow. I like to put a big button right in the center and then a smaller one right over that. I think that's cute on any bow. It just adds a little extra something. The hard part is figuring out which side you like best. I can't decide, guys. I think I probably like this side better just because I'm a big fan of the little red truck, and it's got pumpkins in the back of it, and then I stuck the pumpkins inside the little crate, and I think this is just adorable. I also took a couple of those little acorns that comes in the pack from Dollar Tree and throwed those in the little crate, and I also stuck one in the center of the bow on this side. I'm just so in love with this paper. I think it's beautiful. And there's the little acorn. Before we go any further, let me introduce you to our awesome host. We've got Missy from Crafty Cove and Emily from Farm Charm Chic. Those are the ladies on each side, and in the middle we have this special guest host for this month. Her name is Shannon from Shannon's Crafty DIYs. I love these ladies. Each one has an awesome channel. I want you to go check them out when you finish with my video. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that little red subscribe button and that bell, and hit the word all so you can see all my videos when they come out. We would love to have you. But for now, let's jump on into DIY number 3. Okay, so I told a fib, but not on purpose. This is one that is not from Dollar Tree. This is going to be one that I got from the thrift store. So I just printed out on my computer. I looked up the Google free printable, and this just says pumpkins. It's a little red wagon that says radio flyer, and it's got pumpkins in it. And I absolutely loved this, so I'm going to cut this out. I have had this vase forever. My husband got it for me at Goodwill for $1.99, and it's orange. And when I looked at it, I thought, man, this is my perfect opportunity to use it for fall. So what I'm going to do is just take this and Mod Podge this picture with these pumpkins and this little red wagon right to the front of my vase. Now, there's one bit of advice that I need to give you. When you print something off of your computer, you need to let it dry. I let this dry for probably at least 4 hours before I fooled with it, because it takes a little while for that ink to dry, or else that Mod Podge will make the colors run, and you don't want that. Now, there was already some type of a film over this vase where whoever painted it, you know, had put something on it already, like a glaze. So I just wiped off any excess Mod Podge with a baby wipe. I did put the word pumpkins on the top of my vase, but I ended up taking it off because I didn't like it. I just put some of my Spanish moss down in there, and later I added some of those cute little LED lights from Dollar Tree that are the leaves. It's so cute. And I've got a little variety of flowers that I got from Dollar Tree, and there's a couple in there that I got off of Amazon, and I will link all those below that I did get from Amazon. I love the oranges and the maroon color for fall and that beautiful yellow color. So I just put a little bit of a mixture in there. I stuck one of those little Dollar Tree scarecrows in there. I stuck one of those little white pumpkins that comes from Dollar Tree in there. And I also put one of my little tiny apples on a skewer and stuck it in there. And it was so cute. And that's all I did, you guys. And look how cute this is. I turned the lights down, or I dimmed them so that you could see those beautiful little leaf lights that are inside. I just think this is so sweet. Oh, I forgot. I had taken one of my stickers that came off of that paper, that pack of paper that I got from Amazon, and I took the word autumn and I replaced that where I had put pumpkins on there. It just didn't look right, but the autumn looked perfect, y'all. And look how sweet with that little pumpkin scarecrow and my teeny weeny apples. It's so cute. So this one was the one that probably came the closest to my $5 limit, because it was $1.99 for my vase. And then if you count my florals from Dollar Tree and some from Amazon, I would say we came in right at $5 for this one. We're already moving to number 4, y'all. We are cruising.
So on this one, I wanted to try something totally different than I've ever done before. Purple is becoming a very favorite color of mine for this fall. And so I'm just taking one of these Dollar Tree pumpkins, and Plaid had sent me some beautiful paint that's called Dragonfly. And it's the type and color shift. There's two different ones they sent me. And this paint is the type of paint that when you hold it up and move it around, it changes colors. So I mixed a pink color with a black and gold color, and it came out this beautiful dark purple color. And I was like, I have to use this color. And when you move the color around, it was the pinky color. And then I also am going to highlight it with that pink color so you can see how beautiful this is. So on this one, I really took my time. I went slow, I painted, I enjoyed the process. And I just like fooled around with it to see what colors I could come up with. I was amazed at this color. And normally I'm not one that likes the metallic-y or the glittery or anything like that. But y'all, this paint blew me away. It's called Color Shift. Just by mixing that black with that pink, it made that beautiful purple color. And then I'm going to take just the pink by itself, and I'm going to just do like a little outline. And just to kind of highlight it, you know what I mean? Because I was just playing around. I had no rhyme or reason to what I was doing. I thought, you know what? If I totally mess this up, I can always toss it. But I did not mess it up, y'all. I was so happy with this. It was something different. And this is where I'm outlining with the black. And the black has like little gold flecks in it. So when you move it around, you can see the gold. And this is where I mix the two colors up again and get that purpley color. I just kind of just was playing around and going over it with those three different colors. And I really, really liked the outcome. When I was finished, I took my DIY white wax and I wiped it all over this pumpkin, and then I wiped it off just to give it a little something else, just to see what was going to happen. And guys, it was like magic happening before my eyes. I absolutely love when you have those little unexpected happy things like that happen in crafting. And I have this word thankful that came off of something else that came from the Dollar Tree. I don't remember. And so I went over it with a little bit of my black, and I'm just going to place that on my pumpkin. So I took this Color Shift again, and I wasn't sure what I was going to use at this point, but I took the purple one called Purple Haze, and I've got this cute little owl that I had bought in a pack of about 8 at Hobby Lobby a long time ago, and fall is the perfect time to use these. So I'm going to color him with my Purple Haze. And I glued him right underneath the thankful on my pumpkin. And I didn't really like the brightness of that purple, so I toned it down a little bit with that black gold color from Color Shift. I'm going to take one of those big wooden tags that come from the Dollar Tree, and this is called Marquee Love. I got this for 99 cents at Discovery Outlet, and I'm going to use this to go over the back of my tag sign. I used my Elmer's glue stick again and did the exact same thing that I had done earlier. I put it all over the paper and laid it down on the sign, and I did this on both sides, by the way. I cut off any excess with my scissors, and then I just took my little pumpkin sign, and I'm going to place him right in the center of the tag. And then I took my little finger sander and straightened up any rough edges that I had. I took a piece off of that child-size hula skirt, which is what I'm using for raffia because I think it's a lot easier, and I wound it around my hand about 5 times and just pinched it in the middle to create a bow. Then I just take the scissors and cut all the loops right in the middle, and I kind of use my fingers to fan it out and flip it out, and it creates almost like a little messy bow, which I love to make these kind of bows. I think they are so cute and they're so easy.
After I cut all the loops and got it the way that I wanted it, I just glued that to the stem. And then I'm going to take that little purple and white baker's twine that comes from the Dollar Tree. I go around my hands about 6 times, just like I did the raffia bow, and I pinch it in the middle, and then I tie it together with that purple and white, the same string, and I'm going to place this right in the middle of my little messy bow. It's so cute. I love to do this on my crafts. And then I'm going to do a solo wood flower, which I'm going to stick under the bottom, and I put one little purple button at the top, and then I made a hole in the very top of my little tag, and I'm going to go in and tie a loop with that white nautical rope. And I tied it up and put it on the door, and I think that this is adorable. It's very different, very cute. And I just absolutely love the raffia bow with that purple and white baker's twine and that cute little button right in the middle. What a way to top it off. And of course, a solo wood flower. Can you guys believe that we are already at DIY number 5? Here we are at the end, guys, and you know how I hate to leave y'all. But I'm so happy that I got to do this collab with my buddies. This one is super simple. I got one of these little plaques from the Dollar General, actually, and it was just $1. It says, "Wish upon a star." I'm going to use some of this cardstock that I got from Hobby Lobby, and it looks like wood, and I just pressed down on that little plaque to make the indentation, and that's how I knew how to cut it. So I cut my little piece out, and I'm going to use my Elmer's glue stick and go right down on the back of that paper and pop her down on there. I just left the other side alone, and that way I could use either side as I wanted. And then I took my finger sander and I go over and clean up any rough edges that there may be. Then I took one of the little pumpkins. It comes in like a 5 or 6 pack from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to paint this orange. I don't like the bright orange, so I mix black with another color of orange. I'm sorry, I don't have the name, but it's made by Folk Art, and the word pumpkin is in the name of it. And I just take just a drop of black, and I mixed it up to get a darker orange color. I got the perfect pumpkin shade when I mixed 1 drop of black with that orange color. It made a darker orange. And so I just gave 1 good coat to my pumpkin, and then when I was finished, I hit it with the craft dryer to dry it completely. And I have one of these little chalk writer pens that comes from the Dollar Tree. And I just played around with that. And I made like the little shadows on the pumpkin. I really just took my time and enjoyed the process and played around with it. Guys, I hope y'all had a good, blessed week this week. And I hope that everybody's doing good. And just remember, if y'all need any kind of prayer or anything, just leave it either in my email or down below. You can get me on Instagram. You can get me several different ways. So if y'all have any prayer requests, please leave those for me and I will pray for you. I took my black Arteza marker and I just wrote the word, "Hey, pumpkin." And I'm not the best at writing anything, trust me, but I want to try a little bit more using my handwriting and work at it to see if I can kind of hone in on that skill, you know. And my Arteza ran out, so I had to use one of those painter's brand that comes from Walmart. I took the truffle color by Waverly and I painted the stem the brown. I took a few more of my little leaves and I painted them brown. And then I'm just going to glue those and glue my pumpkin to my little sign here. I took one of the little raffia bows that came off of one of these other projects and I'm going to stick that to the top of my pumpkin. Then I'm going to take 2 buttons and put those right in the center of my little raffia bow like I did before. I just think this is the sweetest and cutest little addition to your bows. I felt like it was still missing something, so I took a couple of these little fall leaves from a Dollar Tree sprig, and I'm going to tape those to the back of this. I didn't glue it because that way I can still use that other side when I need to. And that's all I did. Look how cute this is. Very simple, very cute. Just a small little plaque. I hope you liked my Pumpkin Fest video. Here's a quick little picture of just everything all together. DIY number 1 is my best seller, a shirt made with my Cricut. Let me introduce you to my new best friend. This is my Cricut Explorer 3. Now it does everything the Explorer 2 does, except for it cuts 2 times faster, 8 inches per second to be a matter of fact. And since it's a smart machine, you don't have to have a mat. Now you can still use a mat if you have a smaller cut of vinyl, but hey, it's freedom. Honestly, it's really nice not to have to use a mat. Check out this nifty little roll holder. It holds the rolls of vinyl for you. And the Explorer 3 can cut up to 12 feet of vinyl, which is a record for any Cricut machine. And just look at this beautiful mint green color. I've never seen that on a Cricut before. Now, to get this project started, we're going to need our Cricut, a weeding tool, and our smart iron on vinyl, and our shirt. Go to Cricut Design Space, New Project, and then on the left you go to Upload and you pick the image you want. And of course, it's Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin. So we go and pick that and it pops up on our machine. Then I'm going to go up to the top and adjust my sizes. And I made it 6 inches high. The width didn't really matter. So when I put in my height, it just automatically popped out the width, which was fine with me. Now we're going to weld this, and weld just means that we're going to make it one cut. It's not going to be like a whole bunch of different cuts, which is showing on the right hand of the screen. So you go down to the right hand at the bottom of the screen. On the second little button there is weld, and you hit weld, and it's going to weld that and create it. See, watch, boop, it went away, and it's one whole image now. So now we're going to go over to our text button. And I couldn't think of any better text except for We Believe, like We Believe in the Great Pumpkin. The font I used is called Albertini Demo, and I'll put it in the description box below. I put in the word we, and I just placed that at the top and moved it over to the middle of the image where I would like for it to go. I go back over to the text button and put in the word believe, and it's going to go at the bottom. Now we want to make this one whole image too, where the words is married with the picture. So we again highlight it, and we're going to the right hand bottom and hit the word weld, and we're going to weld it all together, and boop, there it is. And then we're going to go to the right hand top and hit that beautiful green button that says make it. It asks, are you working with a mat or without the mat? And I hit without the mat because we are going to take this baby for a ride and see what she can do. And then I hit continue. I make sure the correct machine is connected because I also have a maker. We're just running through and double checking everything to make sure it's correct, and we go to Smart Iron On because that's what we're going to be doing. And it even pops up a little button that says it's default, and it says to make sure the shiny side is down and that your mirror image is on. And to turn that mirror image on, we go to the bottom left hand side, and there's the little button that says mirror, and we turn it on. That will flip your words around backwards. And this will cause it to go the correct way when you lay it on the shirt and iron it on with your easy press. When I check to make sure everything's perfect, I'm going to hit that beautiful button and we're going to get this baby going. I love the sleek new look of this machine. And you can choose to use that roll holder, but you also don't have to if you don't want. And while the black one is cutting, I'm going to show you how you do the shirt just to make sure that you get the center part. I basically take it down the center. We're going to fold it in half.
After I get the tags off, I simply pick up my Easy Press and lay it on there. I have a Cricut chart that I will put in the description box below, and it gives you the correct temperatures to use with your Easy Press. Then I take my shirt and I fold it in half lengthwise, and we're going to put another little press in it, and this is going to create a cross on the front of our shirt. This will let us know exactly where to lay our print down to get it perfect.
I wanted to time this because speed is my favorite feature of this machine. It took only 40 seconds. I was absolutely amazed and stunned at how fast this thing cut. It's like Cricut took a Cadillac and turned it into a Ferrari, y'all. It's like they took a machine that was already great and made it even better. Oh, and did I mention you can cut your vinyl right here on the roll holder? So now I can totally understand why it's called the DIY Dream Machine.
So when I'm finished, I'm going to weed my vinyl. And just in case you're new to Cricut, weeding just means you're taking out the parts that you don't need. And I'm going to place it on this pink mat so you can see what it looked like. And guys, this was so easy. I made a gold one because I wanted to see what the gold iron-on looked like. I also wanted to test out the time with the mat because this was a scrap piece of vinyl, so I used my mat. This one is for my gold glitter vinyl, so I'm just pressing the front of my shirt and getting my placement correct, and then I'm going to lay it face down.
Then I look at my Cricut temperature guide, and it said to press it at 330 for 30 seconds. Then I simply pull this up very slowly, and I'm finished. And I'm not kidding when I say this is the first time that I ever made a shirt. And with this Cricut Explore 3, it made it so easy. And I am so thankful to Cricut for partnering with me today and for giving me the opportunity to show you guys this amazing machine. I love the speed of this machine. I love that you don't have to use a mat. And I really love that it can cut 12 foot in one cut. My Explorer 3 made this so quick and easy to do. I've already got an order for 10 of these shirts at $20 a piece, and I've had tons of people stop and ask me where I got my shirt at, and I'm like, I sell these. So yeah, you guys, these are a big selling item. I made the gold one, and here is my black one. So guys, if I can make a shirt on my very first attempt with my Explorer 3, I know you can do this too. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, hit that little red subscribe button, and there's a bell beside it, and when you click all, YouTube will let you know every time I upload a video. Also, don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. DIY number 2. We're going to make a cute little light up shadow box. We're going to use this shadow box from Dollar Tree, a wooden ghost, and buffalo check paper. So I opened my shadow box up, and it's got writing on it, so we've got to use some alcohol to get that off. And most of the Dollar Tree's writing is on the inside of the glass, and so all you do is use your cotton ball and some alcohol to get that off. Then I take my paper and the back end of this sign, and I'm just going to use my fingers to push down and around to get the shape to show myself where to cut it out at. I take my glue stick and smear it all over the back, and then we're just going to turn it around and put it down on the backing. I take my favorite little finger sander, and I always have these linked in my Amazon store because everybody asks me about them, and I'm just going to sand off the sides. I'm going to take my home decor white chalk paint, and I had to thin it down a little bit with water, and I'm just going to paint my ghost with just one coat. Then I take a thin black ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree. It's the gross grain ribbon. And I'm just going to make a simple shoestring knot, and I'm going to tie it in the center. This is going to be a hair bow for my little ghost girl. I cut the tails of the ribbon off. Then I just glue it to my ghost, kind of catty-cornered. I use my black chalkboard paint from the Dollar General, and I'm just going to go all around my ghost with my little chippy brush. And I think these are back in stock on Amazon if you want to look in my Amazon store. Everybody always asks me about those, and they're always out of stock. So I think that they are back in stock because I had ordered some not long ago. Then I take and just glue the little ghost on my paper. I'm going to use some more of these fairy lights from that company On For You that sent them to me. And I'm super excited about these. So I'm going to place these all around the square of this picture on the inside. And I just use tiny dabs of hot glue to hold it in place. These little fairy lights are absolutely what makes this picture so cute because you can turn it off or on. And I'm just going to glue my little battery pack to the back when I close everything up. This is what we got so far, but then I remember with my Cricut, I had made some extra bats. So I'm going to place one of my little bats up beside my ghost like it's flying beside it. I also have some of the small little round velvet pumpkins that come from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to glue one of the white ones inside the frame because it fit perfectly. And guys, these things sell like hotcakes at $15 a piece, and I only have about $1.25 in each one. DIY number 3. Have y'all seen these new beautiful plates from the Dollar General for only $1? And I'm going to use a silk screen that I got offline, and it says, "Meet me at the pumpkin patch." This is so cute. I'm just going to cut each of the words off because it's easier for me to apply it that way. Then I put it the way that I want it on my plate. Then I just laid it down, and I chose to use the white colored paste. It's always the most satisfying part when you can pull that off and see those beautiful crisp letters. The next words I use are at the. And by the way, these sell really well too. A lot of people like to put plates in their curio cabinets or their china cabinets. Now I'm just mixing up some regular acrylic paint in the color Vivid Orange with some of the black paste that goes with these silk screens. And I'm going to do pumpkin patch with that orange color. And it has streaks of black in it, which made an awesome effect. And then I laid the stencil of the truck down. And the truck has little pumpkins in the bed. I did my pumpkins in the orange, but I wanted to do my truck in the Nantucket blue color, and it turned out beautiful. So then I'm just going to take a couple of sprigs of some leaves that I have. I glued those to the upper right-hand corner of the plate, and then I took one of the little pine cones that I had cut in half with my skill saw, and I placed it right over top of the leaf. Then I placed one more leaf right over that top one because I felt like it needed a little something extra. And then I took my jute twine and I wound it around my fingers 5 times and then pinched it in the middle, which makes like a little finger bow, and I tie it in the center. And I take my scissors and I cut all of the loops because that way I call it like a little messy bow, it kind of looks like. This is just how I like to do my bows. I think they're cute like this. And then I'm going to take one of those little wooden leaves that I got off of Amazon. I will link those in my Amazon store. I used Vivid Orange, and then I placed it right on that bow and then placed that right on the pine cone. And then I burn off any fuzzy. I took one single rogue flower that was wandering around, a little orange flower, and put it on the right-hand side of the pine cone to complete it. And these sell for $12 to $15, like crazy.
I was lost or I was found. Nothing ever
forget to DIY number 4. I start off with this beaded hanger that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I just give it 2 good coats of my white chalk paint. I get in every corner and crevice, the front side, back side, upside, down side. Then I give it a good quick dry. Then I just take the back off, and to save me from having to take all of those beads off, I just painted them right there with my Waverly Antique Wax. Then I take this beautiful autumn napkin that I had purchased off of eBay, and it's got 4 scenes on it when you open it up, so I'm just cutting one of those off. I like to wet my fingers to kind of tear the edges so that it looks natural. It doesn't look so, like a square. Then I'm going to use my satin Mod Podge, and I'm just going to put that down on the backing. And I laid my napkin right down. And then I'm going to use some saran wrap this time. I got DIYS, and I'm just going to kind of press around to get this napkin laid down. Then I laid the saran wrap out flat, and I'm going to use my little Mod Podge roller to get every single wrinkle out. And guys, this did not have a wrinkle inside. It was perfect. Then I place everything back in the frame. I used a baby wipe to paint one of the little wooden leaves that I have with the Antique Waverly Wax, and I'm going to place it in the upper left-hand corner. I paint another leaf with the Folk Art Vivid Orange color. And I use my favorite, King's Gold by Apple Barrel, which is the most beautiful autumn gold color. And the color called Lacquer by Waverly, which is a burgundy color. On the bottom right-hand corner, I placed a small apple that I got from a pack off of Amazon, and those are linked below in my Amazon store. And on the other corner, I placed 2 of my small little pine cones that comes out of a pack from Dollar Tree. I also found the top of an acorn, and it was red and a little glittery, and I placed it right beside the apple. And then I take some orange twine, and I'm going to make a finger bow where I go around my finger about 5 times, pinch it in the middle, and tie it. Then I simply just cut all the little loops to where they're open, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with some orange and white striped ribbon that I have from the Dollar Tree. I go around 5 times, pinch it in the middle, and tie it off, and then I'm also going to cut the little bows open in that, and we're going to put these together. I'm going to glue down the orange one first, and then the orange and white one on top of it, and it's going right in the center of my sign. I was not very happy with the way that the beads looked, so I decided to put a little bit more antique wax on the beads, and I very barely wiped it off. And that's all there is to this one, guys, and it's selling like crazy for 15 bucks. This only took 5 minutes to make and maybe $2.
Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, really wanna know.
And now our last project for the day. This is DIY number 5. And I did say this is Dollar Tree, but I had forgotten that I did get this vase at a thrift store. It's like a flower planter. This is what it looked like before, and I took it outside and I gave it just 1 coat of the white Rust-Oleum matte ×2. And I absolutely love the Rust-Oleum because it's quick and easy, and it's just 1 coat and it's done. So I'm going to take my Nantucket blue color that comes from Home Decor. My paint was getting a little bit thick, so I'm just going to give it a quick squirt of water and stir it up. I'm going to start off up at the top of my little planter, and I'm not looking for perfection here. I'm not even going to give it like a full all over coat. I'm purposely leaving like streaks kind of here and there, and it looks like I've already distressed it when I haven't even tried. If you'll look in the middle of where I just painted, you can see the white of the planter popping through, and that's exactly what I wanted. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video so far. And when I'm finished with this DIY, I have just a little bit of footage from the Squawk Squad for this week. When I got down to the diamond shape, that pattern was raised, which was beautiful because when I ran the paint over it, look how it looks like I've already distressed it, and I haven't even done so yet. It just turned out so beautiful. After I give it a quick dry, I'm going to use my Waverly Antique Wax to just distress this a little. When I get down to the bottom part, you can see that it had divots in it, and they really came to life whenever I put that antique wax on there. And then in the diamond area, the little diamond shape area, I really went hard with it. I started putting a whole lot there, and because I wanted a lot, I wanted it to look old and distressed. And then I just kind of wiped some things off with my paper towel. As I was rubbing it with the paper towel, a lot of that white came shining through, and it just made it so beautiful. I'm going to take a piece of the floral foam from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut 2 small squares off of it, and they're going to go down in the bottom part of the planter to hold our flowers. Then I just take some of that Spanish moss, and I'm just going to put it right on the top and kind of tuck it down around that floral foam. Then I start with my florals. I've got these burnt orange color eucalyptus that I got from Amazon, and they're in my Amazon store below. And I just started putting those in around the center area mostly because they are the tallest part of my florals. And the tallest part always goes in the center. Then I've got these beautiful magnolias that came from the Dollar Tree, and they're kind of like a orangey cream color. And then I have some cream color marigolds from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to add those in, a couple here and there. And finally, I have the most beautiful bouquet that I got from the Dollar General for $3, and it's kind of a burnt orange color. It's the prettiest color, and they have wire around them. So what I did was just clip those off. I'm going to put a couple in the front and then just 1 or 2 here and there so that it will all combine and look right. I got the cutest little truck pick that came from the Dollar General, and it says blessed on the back of it. And I'm just going to place that up in the top right-hand corner, kind of catty corner like. Then I take this beautiful pampas grass that I got at Walmart for 97 cents, and I'm going to place it right in behind the truck to really make that pop and stand out. I took a little bit of that blue and ran it across the front part that is kind of shaped like a rope because I just thought that it needed that little pop of blue. And then I'm going to use my hands for my fingers to just kind of take some of that paint off and make it look distressed. And then I have another pack of these beautiful little fairy lights from that company, On For You. And I'm just going to flip those on. I'm going to just kind of place those, no rhyme or reason, just throughout the bouquet. I just think these lights are so cute, and they're simple, and they're easy to add to any little project. And of course, I'm just going to put the battery pack right on the very back. I got this piece at the thrift store for only $3, and it's going to sell for $30. This arrangement is just so beautiful, and I am so very proud of it. I love the way it distressed.